You're the star, Sue. Go ahead.
Okay, little bit of my story. Um, my accent is a little different. I was born in England, and about 40 years ago, I think it was now, I moved to Canada, and I landed in Ottawa, which is in eastern Canada, where the winters are very cold and the summers are very hot and very sticky, and there's lots of bugs. And I lived in Ottawa for 11 years. And then my husband, he was sent to Victoria from Ottawa for work in spring. And I was shoveling snow from the driveway of my house. And he was sitting outside drinking a latte, telling me how beautiful it was, taking a ferry to Vancouver. And I said to my son, who was 2, I said, Alex, we should be where Daddy is. And so when Eric, my husband, came home, I said to him, what did you think about Victoria? And he said, it's beautiful. I said, well, what about moving there? And he said, okay. And I was surprised because his family lived close, well, about an hour's drive from us in Ontario. And it's not an hour's drive when you move to the other end of the country. So we were going from the Eastern Canada to Western Canada. And anyway, we did some work. I did some research, and that's my first message to you, and that's why I love this group and that you've invited me. If you're going to make a big move, I think it's important to do your research ahead of time so that you know about the job situation, you know the cost of living, you understand the culture of the place you're going to. It's not just about the weather. But in Canada, a lot of people want to move to Victoria because of the weather. And they get here and they are surprised because it's a smaller city. And so it doesn't have as many opportunities as some of the bigger cities do. And so you have to come knowing that, and you have to be prepared for it. Anyway, we decided that we wanted to move. We booked a week and we came out. And we were both in information technology. We were project managers, both of us. And I phoned every consulting company in Victoria, and there weren't many, but there were about 5, I think. And I told them, my husband and I, project managers, we're moving to Victoria. And I said, we're either going to be working for you or the competition. Would you like to meet us? And so I didn't ask, do you have job openings? I just got their curiosity going to know what we were like, because we had declared that we were going to be there. And everyone gave us an interview. But we heard lots of things, like we heard, wow, we don't see people with that much experience very often here in Victoria, but we just hired someone like that 6 months ago. And we really can't take on another senior project manager right now. Which was where we got our first inkling that it's a smaller city, right? It's a smaller city with less opportunities. If we had looked for work in Ottawa, in Eastern Canada, a bigger city, we could have each probably come up with 2 or 3 job offers if we were ready to move. So you do have to understand that. It's not impossible to be here, and I don't want to have any of you think, oh, I don't want to come. I just want you to understand that, it is a smaller place. And so there are less opportunities. So you have to work a little harder to find those jobs. You have to use every connection that you can make and that you get. And, but it is, if you can make it work, I've lived here now for nearly 30 years and I love it. I love it. It feels like home to me. It feels like exactly where I should be. So we did get a job. In fact, what happened was I got the job offer first. My husband we came with just my job offer. And then my husband came out, and a month later, he got a job offer. So what I do now is about 8 years ago, I realized that I wasn't loving my work. I was in IT. I had been a programmer, not very good at programming, by the way, a project manager. I'd been a resource manager and recruiter for about 10 years, which I enjoyed. So I was bringing a lot of people to Victoria because, again, it was a small place, so we couldn't always find the technical skills we needed. So I would bring people. And then they asked me to be a sales executive, which I did for 10 years, but I didn't love it. And then I discovered coaching. And for those of you, I don't know, Myra, have you told people about what coaching is? I know that you're a coach. So, okay, so let me just tell you, coaching is creating a safe and confidential place for people to think through and get their own answers. Do some deeper work, perhaps understanding yourself more and being really clear on what you want, and then maybe making a plan to have that happen. And I chose to be a professional coach certified through the International Coach Federation, and to specialize in helping people like me who were in a job they didn't love, but they perhaps didn't really know what they did want to do. So that's kind of what I do. I help people go on a journey of self-discovery. I help them understand their strengths and their differentiators in the marketplace, the things that make them special, which is really helpful when you're looking for a job. I just did that with someone from the US who is wanting to move to Victoria. And so she has to have her differentiators because she's going the route of getting an employer to actually sponsor her, which requires, you know, you really have to have some special skill that they need for them to do that. Most people come in through the education route, and you've probably had some discussion about this, Myra. Many of our new immigrants who come to Victoria study first and then choose to stay, or they work part-time while they're studying, and then they get the permit to stay. Anyway, I just did that exercise with her, that coaching session with her, and she's really excited, and she's now able to highlight, you know, why someone might want to go through the effort of getting that permit for her. So that's part of what I do, one-on-one work with people. But I also realized that a lot of people just can't afford a coach, or perhaps don't even want to share all that information about themselves, because when I'm working with someone, you know, it's completely confidential, but you have to have a trust-based relationship. And so I thought, I have a lot of information. I've seen a lot of people move to Victoria. Some of them have had a great success. Some of them have struggled, you know, and I wanted to share information with people who would never perhaps even work with me, reach a broader audience. And that is when I developed an insider's guide to moving to Victoria. It used to be called What You Need to Know About Moving to Victoria. And I only changed the name because the W meant that on the event listings, I was at the bottom. So I had to find an A to get me to the top. So I changed it to An Insider's Guide. Am I an insider? I don't know. But I do know a lot of people in Victoria. I do belong to a lot of associations. And I make it my business to really understand where you can network, what's going on in the marketplace, what employers are hiring, so that I can share that information once a month in a live event, which Myra came to last week. So I would encourage you to think about joining me for that, because you also make connections. So the client that I'm working with in the US made a connection in one of these events with somebody who moved from the US and is now living in Victoria. So she's got someone there who can help her. So it's worthwhile thinking about it. It is in English, but what happens is some questions come up sometimes that perhaps I haven't thought about. I don't always have the answer, but I may be able to tell you how to go about getting that answer, you know? So yeah, so that's my story. Yeah, so I encourage you to come to that if you can. There is an 8-page handout that goes with it, which you'll receive once you've registered. So there's 2 steps to registering. You go to Eventbrite, which is that link that I've just put in there, and then you'll be asked to go and register on Zoom, and then you'll get the actual link to join the meeting. And it's a small group. It's not usually hundreds of people, you know, it's people that if you're going to make a big change, it's good to get clear on your priorities. And I have noticed that during COVID, a lot of people are reevaluating their lives. They're saying, you know, there's things that are more important to me now, or that are really important that I didn't understand. So another tool that I developed is something called the What's Important to Me Now workshop. And it's in a format of a coaching session, if you like. And I used to conduct this coaching session with my clients, because before I worked with them, I would say, okay, well, let's just, before we start on this transition, tell me what your priorities are. And they would give me this long list of, you know, 20 or 30 things, or they'd say, oh, I don't know. So I would coach them. Well, I decided that I wanted to give this information, help people get this information without having to be one-on-one with me. So it's actually on my website right now, and I'm offering it. It's normally 97 Canadian dollars. And during COVID, I've literally taken $70 off. So for $27 Canadian, you can go in and complete this workshop. Somebody who is moving here from Montreal, it's in Eastern Canada, he just completed it and sent me the results. And then we're going to do a little bit more work around it, but he's going to be clear on his priorities as he plans his move. So definitely something to think about. It's a video recording, so you can do it anytime. You just print. You do have to print off some forms or draw the forms yourself. You don't have to if you haven't got a printer. And through a video, I will take you through a process that will uncover those top priorities for you. And you can pause the video. I will say, please pause the video and complete the form. When you're ready, come back and we carry on. So it's self-paced. It takes about 2 hours actually to complete. And if you're a couple, I recommend you can use the same link, but I would recommend you do it independently of one another, because even when you're a couple, you'll have there'll be some things that are more important to you than others, some people that are more important to you than others. So I think it's a very useful exercise to do, and then to sit down and share with one another what your priorities are. And then what you can do is have a conversation about, well, how does moving to Victoria support our top priorities? How is this a good thing, or is it maybe something we need to think through? One of the big things for you will be family and friends, you know. You're going to be leaving your family, you know, behind, most of you said, but Lisa, you obviously brought your partner with you, but for a lot of us, especially if you have aging parents. So for me, I see a lot of people who've moved here and their parents are still living in another country, and it's very difficult for them because they need to, especially when they get ill, you wonder, do I need to go home now, or should I wait? What do I do? I'm very lucky in that both of my parents chose to move to Victoria when my son was about 2. He's 30 now. My son is 31, I think, 31. Can't believe it. But yeah, my parents moved here, which made a huge difference. And that's a big thing to do. They were in their 60s, you know. So I'm very grateful. But my brother had moved here too. So in fact, you know, my immediate family are here. And it's a good thing because my dad passed away about 8 years ago, but my mum is still with us. She's 94 years old, and she lives in an apartment very close to me, but she wants to be independent. And I get to be with her every day. I go and see her, and we play dominoes, and I make sure she has something for supper that isn't a sandwich, which is one of her favorite meals, or a cookie. But you know, I'm lucky in that respect. But if you do complete the What's Important to Me Now workshop, one of the first things I ask you about is community and people in your life. Who are the important people in your life? And you do need to think about, you know, well, how will I stay in touch? How will I see them? What will it mean if I move to Victoria? So please understand, I'm not trying to talk anybody out of coming, but I'm also wanting you to come and have a good experience. That's my goal. And some people have moved without doing their homework. They think they can just show up and get a job just like that, a good paying job as well. And then they're disappointed. And then what happens is they start talking negatively about Victoria. Oh, Victoria is so small and people aren't very friendly and it's hard to get a job. And you know what happens when you start to talk negatively? You start to look for the negative in everything, and then you start to transmit that negative energy to people, and then nobody wants to be friends with someone who's negative. So guess what? It's true. It's hard to make friends, you know. Myra has this lovely positive energy, which, you know, she exudes over the internet, and I love that. So it's important. I wanted to catch people, shall we say, before they'd got themselves into that negative mindset, and give them information and tools that can help them figure out where their people are, how to get a job, what's realistic, you know, that sort of information. So yeah, so what else did I want to talk to you about? Now the other thing is, Victoria is a kind of a who you know kind of town. It helps to know people. And so I used to speak to about 4 years ago, I think it was, I first realized this and said to the people coming to my free session, you know, you need to network. And they would look at me like deer in the headlights. Network, ooh, that's yucky.
Scary.
It's scary, yeah, right, for a lot of people. And to be perfectly honest, it was scary for me. I hated networking. I was not good at it. I couldn't make small talk. I was very focused in my previous career on my work, and then getting home and making dinner and spending some time with the family and then doing more work. I didn't have time for networking, and I didn't see the benefit. Well, now I do, and I've learned how to network, and I love it. I absolutely love it now. So I love helping people get past that discomfort and start to embrace it. And the wonderful thing is that thanks to COVID, am I saying this? Yes, thanks to COVID, many more opportunities exist online for you to connect through Zoom before you even arrive in Victoria.
That's exactly how we met, right?
Yes, exactly. I love that you were doing that. I saw Myra, and yeah, there's a women's networking group that I try to attend. It has sessions 3 times a month, I think, and I at least try to get to one, and we happen to meet there. I also have another client who's moving here from the Dominican Republic, and she is coming to study, and she's going to want a co-op work term. And I have connected her based on her experience with a networking group here, and she's phoning in and being part of that networking group even before she arrives. So so COVID has been good in that respect. It's allowed us to do this, but there's still that discomfort with networking. And so I wanted to make it, I wanted to help people understand that you can learn to do this. It is a learned skill. And even if you're an introvert, you can learn to network. And even if you're an extrovert, it's not always easy because you don't always know what to say or where to go, you know. So it's such a valuable skill. So I decided to put together a workshop, and I called it originally Networking for Success in Victoria. Now it's just called Networking for Success, because the in Victoria piece, I have specific information that if you're moving to Victoria, by all means, I have like a long list of places that you can network. But if you're not moving to Victoria, it's still helpful just to learn the skills of networking and how to do it. So that one is coming up, let me see, it's on the 16th of May, it's on a Sunday. And I do charge for that one, I charge $125. And there's an early bird saving of $25. So if you register before the end of April, you only pay $100. And so for your $100, you're going to have a half-day workshop on networking. And afterwards, you're going to have a one-on-one session with me where you're going to share what your networking plans are. We're going to, part of what we do is come up with a strategy. Who do I want to meet in the next year? And then we talk about, you know, where might those people be and how will you introduce yourself when you meet them? So you share that with me. I'll help you refine it, maybe give you some feedback on how that sounds. And then we'll talk about where to go, just as I did with, actually her name was Myra too. My client who came from Dominican was Myra. So that's how she discovered the Sydney Breakfast Club, which is where she's connecting with. So it's more personalized. It lets me get to know you a little better. And it also then may allow me to sort of open some doors for you. Because Victoria is such a small town and your reputation, my reputation, is important, it's very difficult for me to put in a word for someone that I don't know really, other than you seem like a nice person. But if I've actually done a little bit of work with you, it changes things. The lady from the US that I'm working with, now I know her differentiators. I can more confidently go to some of the contacts that I have in the IT world. She's an IT project manager, just like I used to be, and talk about her and why they might want to make the effort to get the permit for her, because she's bringing these special skills that we've uncovered through working together. So, but I couldn't, just because I see Andrea here and she looks nice and she smiled and nodded a lot, if she sent me a resume, it would be difficult for me to go and talk you up, A, because I don't know you, but B, also, I don't know, maybe you'll work out, but maybe you won't. And then it might reflect on me, like Sue brought Andrea and like, what was that about? It didn't work out. So I do, I'm sorry to pick on you, Andrea. I appreciate, you just seem like you're open and smiling. So I just, but you can understand it's important. I do have a reputation to maintain. I have a reputation for professionalism and caring about other people and doing a good job. So I have to think about that. So that's something else. So I want you to think about that, and whether it is an investment, and Bill, is it for you too? And sorry, I didn't catch the name of your husband there.
Miguel.
Good.
Miguel.
So I don't. If you haven't already landed a job, maybe you already have. If you have, or you're not looking for work because you're studying, that's fine. But even so, think about proactively doing some networking before you're looking for that job, and building those connections. So that's my advice to you. So think about that. And
I appreciate your time. It's interesting the activities and the labor that you are doing as a coach. Is really interesting. I love human resources and leadership for sure. And that is our purpose in the future. And yes, while you were talking, I was just looking your website and looks interesting. And so I'm going to look for probably to join if I'm planning to move on first May. So you know,
wow.
there are a lot of expense, you know, the mandatory hotel, the Airbnb. So it's really challenging right now. I'm going to move with my little pet because he is the only one that doesn't need visa. For that reason.
What little pet do you have?
Yorkie. It's a Yorkshire.
Oh, it's a dog. Is it?
Yes, it's a dog.
Well,
I love
Victoria is a city of dog lovers.
Oh,
and
yes.
So, yeah, so a great way to meet people is to go walking your dog. Because
nice.
They probably will talk to the dog before they talk to you, but they will talk to you too. So you can walk along Dallas Road, which is by the ocean, and everybody's out there walking their dogs and they chat with one another. I see Melissa is nodding there. So I say to people, if you don't have a pet of your own, and perhaps you can't have one, or you're living in a building, that's something to think about. A building that takes dogs, so you need to think about that. Borrow someone else's. Say, what can I take your dog for a walk? And you go for a walk, you're going to meet people. Guaranteed. I would love to connect with anybody as well who would, if you go to my website, you can also sign up for my newsletter. So once a month, usually, not every month, but most months, I send a newsletter out, and the events are in there as well. So the links to the events, and there is sometimes special offers on my coaching. So something to think about. And if you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, I would love to connect on LinkedIn. I have connections around the world on LinkedIn, and I love that. So
I'm happy because I am making new network with the community of our church. So
nice.
I feel blessed because I feel many connections with the people there. So I am feeling comfortable. Sometimes it feels scared for me because it's new, all things there in Victoria and new country. And you know, without my husband, without my children, my teenagers. But anyway, we are in the process and we are just continue believing that God is going to open all the doors. And thanks, Maida, for this beautiful meeting. For sure, we appreciate because you are open this door for all of us that we are dreaming. And Belisa, my friend, that is my new friend. Thanks, Belisa, because we were talking for many days and it's really interesting. And so I look Carlos Singeli. So I don't know where are you, but it's nice to meet those people and others that don't have the camera on, but it's okay. It's okay.
I really think, like Sue said, it's just basic to do that networking. That's the reason why we're here this morning. That's the main reason. We having that clarity in your life, what's most important for you. If most important for you is to have a better standard of life, then you need to invest. Which brings me to my second point. Andrea said something very important. Yes, this process is expensive, but it's an investment. And the more that you invest, the more that it's gonna return at a faster rate. And because of that, I was so excited to bring Sue because I've been in one of her networking events, and it does pay off. I'm so excited to get into all of them. I like to say about myself that I'm not all positive, that I'm not like, this happy. No, I mean, I'm optimistic. Optimistic is bringing a positive view in a realistic world, right? This is what's gonna happen, and this is how you can be better prepared. I wanna let Sue go so she can have breakfast with her husband.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure. I've loved meeting you all, and I'd love to stay connected. So do think about reaching out to me on LinkedIn and through my website. And good luck with your journey. It is a beautiful place to live, and keep me posted if you get here. Let me know you're here, and I'd love to connect. Okay.
Yeah.
Have a great rest of the day. Oh, okay. Yeah, you got it. Lovely. Okay, bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much, Sue. God bless you.
Bye, Sue.
Bye.